Hi, welcome to the meeting mapping Middleverse board. That's a mouthful. All right, so what is meeting mapping? So first off, the meeting mapping is trying to address the problem of we have too many meetings. How many times have you heard that? So it's just a technique to understand your meeting ecosystem so that you can prune the excess. So it has 3 steps. Well, first off is to visualize. Then you're going to need to organize, and then we're going to prune. And for the fancy ones out there, I would imagine that there's quite a bit of making it pretty. So let's start with visualize. So all we want in this step is to list as many meetings as you can think of. And we want to throw out just all the variables out there on the table. So the name of the meeting, who attends, I'll put the functions, not the persons. The artifacts, both what is needed for input and what gets transformed, so what is the output. And this one should be a very quick one, so 5 minutes. Right? And this is an example I've done with Scrum. So I just said, okay, this is my legend. So blue is the meetings, then lighter blue, who and artifacts, and I just kind of laid them out there. The team also mentioned, the organization has some other meetings in there, but we're going to address that in a kind of 2 steps, right? So second is to organize, right? The big idea here is just trying to make a process map out of all of this, right? The way I like to do it is put the meetings on top with a set of attendees, so all the functions, the articles on the artifacts on the left, and in the middle you start connecting input, output. And I like to keep them all on the same kind of line right here. So that's what I did here. So I lined them all up here on the left, and I start putting the meeting there. So refinement, who's there? I put these people in there. What's the input? These 2. What's the output? And you start kind of aligning them all, right? So you now have a bit of an idea of who is where. For extra flexibility, I like to put this in a grid because this, what you can do in a grid is that you can then move these things back and forth because we're going to be, we want to manipulate this information, right? Well, and each one of these earns a little row, and at the bottom, I normally put like this, ideas that don't deserve a whole row by itself, I put them in there. Right, so now, with this Scrum example, so I have all of these mapped out. I want to just take a look at these and see how they get added. Right, so what I did here is I started adding those extra, let's say, extra meetings there. There's a roadmap meeting. Who's there? Product owner and some stakeholders, right? What do they look at? They look at the product goal, the increment, and the output is an updated product backlog. And you have the same kind of all over the place, right? The budget review, they're probably looking at the product goal, the increment. The budget used is also an input, and the output is the updated budget, right? And then go no go, you have the same. We're looking at the increment, and the idea is here is like you either get an approval or more items get added to the product backlog, right? So you can see how they all interact with each other. Daily Scrum, very simple one. Who's there? The developers. You have the sprint backlog, and then you get an updated sprint backlog at the end, right? So it's kind of a little cycle. All right, so you get this all laid out here, and you have your team, and you start looking at step number 3, which is to prune. And here the idea is that as soon as you make it visual, you can now have a very objective conversation, right? And it's very, because of all these dimensions, it's very rich. So you can start interrogating each meeting to see if they deserve to exist, right? Is there no output for this meeting? Is the output not clear? Are there artifacts that have not been transformed in this meeting? So does this meeting deserve to exist? Could this meeting be combined with another one because they're very similar, right? So I just took that example we have, and I started looking at, for instance, here you had the architecture board meeting and the sprint planning, and they seem to have some of the same things here, And you would say, okay, can I not merge these 2? Right. So this is the kind of the first conversation. I'll probably look at this: the roadmap meeting, the refinement. this is probably first off missing this bunch here. And this is probably an optional. So you have, look, we have some of the similar outcomes here, the similar exercise. So could we not merge these two? Or maybe just, it's probably essentially the same meeting. Can we just not name it somewhere else? And you can look through your whole meeting ecosystem to see if you can find some synergies there. You can merge these things together, right? Here's another example, like sprint review, budget review, go, no go. Some of the outcomes or some of the manipulated artifacts are the same stakeholders are there. Why can we not put all of these things together, right? So, and then you come to, all right, I built this whole thing. It's like a nice little artifact and a representation of us all. Let's make it fancy, right? And here I have an example of a company that took this to quite a nice level. So they had, it was a small software development company, and they were able to visualize all of this, right? So after, as a reward for that workshop to, figuring out their whole meeting ecosystem, they created this as their kind of okay, we've built this together. We clarified all of this, right? So it's much more dense, right? So you have here, when does it happen? How long does it take? Who are there? What are the roles? You have some little colors. You have the team's roadmap and all this portfolio kind of nicely done here. Huge props to the Scrum Master who's done this. And then here I give just a more simple but also powerful first upgrade to like the Scrum framework here. So you can just kind of do the same with some icons, and right there it probably helps any newcomer understand what is the meeting ecosystem of this team I'm joining very quickly, right? And that is the power of meeting mapping. Is a technique for you to visualize your meeting ecosystem and allow you to prune it. Thank you.